Good morning, everyone. I'm Michiel Bienens, and today I would like to present my analysis regarding the business value of construction project management, leveraging BIM and interoperability. In the next 15 minutes, I will take you into the Belgian market to see how we have to re-engineer BIM and interoperability based on enablers and challenges. In the current era of the AECO industry, change is rapid. More and more countries and companies are switching from traditional workflows to building information modeling, the modern way of managing project information intelligently. The BIM model is a database with untold amount of data in it. Thanks to the traditional nature of the industry, this data is rather limited for construction project management. My study, therefore, focused on using interoperability to maximize business value throughout the life cycle of a construction project. In 4 main chapters, I would like to convince you of the urgent need for a change in the way BIM is perceived, especially on the construction side. First, we're going to look how the Belgian industry is using BIM nowadays. Then, to look what challenges and enablers this entails. To realize these challenges and enablers, we need to look at the current software limitations. Finally, I will propose an optimization to let BIM tools create business value on the field. The aim is to change the process from a digitized to a digitalization process. The difference between these two terms is how we change the process. If we remain doing the same, but just in a digital form, it's called digitization. When we re-engineer the process, it's called digitalization. To gain insights into the Belgian market, a market survey was conducted. A total of 35 professionals within Europe participated in the survey, of which 27 were Belgians. In the further analysis, only the Belgian respondents were used, and the international ones were used to get a better insight when neither is there a difference between Belgium or not. The market survey was sent out via LinkedIn. The participants in the survey can be considered as early adopters of BIM in Belgium. The major Belgian contractors and design offices are represented. Smaller companies have limited representation in the survey. As a result, the outcome is asymmetric for the Belgian industry, but the companies working on BIM in Belgium are represented. This raised the question of conducting a large-scale market survey within Belgium, as was done in the Netherlands, but this was outside the scope of my analysis. The majority of the participants have only participated in fewer or equal than 5 tenders where BIM was mandatory. The companies that participated in the survey can be considered as companies that are adopted BIM because they are convinced of BIM. Furthermore, this also shows that our government has not yet fully made the switch to BIM. There is a need for a legal framework to support this high level of interoperability. Responses were asked about the use of BIM in the 3 main phases of a construction project. The use of BIM within Belgium is as expected and does not differ significantly from the 8 foreign respondents. However, the question should be asked when either we use BIM as a digitized or a digitalization process. The use of software tells us that both the building and infrastructure sector are represented in the survey. The environment is as expected an Autodesk environment, and a couple of respondents indicated to stick to Autodesk software and collaborate in a closed BIM environment for interoperability reasons. These days, great 3D models are built at design stage, and I deliberately use 3D models instead of BIM models. There were 7 BIM models analyzed during this study, and only 3 models met requirements to do 4D, 5D BIM. Belgium should move towards a model-based design industry. Both in design and construction phase, we build 3D models. Once we go to the construction phase, we smash the whole model down in 2D plans, and we almost do everything in a traditional way. All project managers should be capable of opening IFC models in an IFC viewer. Up to 50% identify that they are working on 4D, 5D BIM. It cannot be deducted from the survey what responses mean by 4D, 5D BIM. From a cross-check of the common 4D, 5D softwares and the 4D, 5D softwares used as indicated by the responses, we have to conclude that they are not yet using the right tools on the work on 4D, 5D BIM for construction project managers. For some BIM departments, it's primarily about marketing and presenting something that looks good. We need to start using the fourth and the fifth dimension as a construction project management tool and move away from the commercial aspects associated with the concept of MDBIM. We need to limit ourselves to the engineering dimensions in which vectors and Euclidean distances are key, and calling the already well-known 7D model a maintenance model. This will increase clarity and by consequence create support from the field. The market research was biased due to the fact that only BIM people participated. Therefore, 23 expert interviews with people in the field were conducted. The interviews focused on how the responses interpret and perceived the term business value of BIM. It also asked what factors that were perceived as enablers and challenges to the perception of business value of BIM. In total, 13 construction companies participated, from junior project managers to technical directors, 5 design offices from architects to engineers, and in the public sectors, 5 interviews were conducted, from researchers to implementation managers. Based on the market research and the expert interviews, 10 challenges have been formulated. It is important to change internal processes. Business managers need to adjust their organizational structures, routines, and business models. On the execution side, BIM is currently still too often seen as fuzzy, incomplete, and confusing. A common definition of BIM will help eliminate this confusion, because everyone will then have the same expectation what BIM can offer. Project managers notice that the absence of a common definition results into skepticism regarding the term business value of BIM. To overcome resistance and deeply ingrained old misconceptions as costly and disruptive, there is a need for a case study to quantify the business value of BIM. There is still the perception, why changing something what is good enough? Due to the limitations for project management and the traditional way BIM is done, makes it harder for project managers to estimate the effects on the performance of a project. BIM should be viewed as a long-term investment rather than a short-term cost. BIM should run from the design to the demolition phase. The lowest bid mindset that pervades the industry, along with restricted budgets and timetables, make it a hard proposition. Nowadays, BIM is seen as a risk for uncertainties and jeopards project completion. There is a need from the top management to provide additional resources for BIM. What happens is that BIM people are grouping together and the more traditional people and project managers are left behind. The project managers and BIM managers need to work next to each other. This involves that the project manager is not the gatekeeper anymore in the project. There is a lack of in-house knowledge. Some consultants can support, but later on it's important to give trainings in-house by educated employees. Therefore, it's also needed to stimulate BIM at the universities so that the future is already prepared for BIM. And we have to ask ourselves the question, are we ready to change the traditional way of working, or do we continue to use BIM and the traditional processes in parallel? To create business value on construction projects, we need to overcome software limitations, in addition to our 10 challenges. Limitations on interoperability still exist. To better understand what interoperability means, it's important to look deeper into the word. Inter means between two groups. Operability means the ability to keep a piece of equipment, a system, or a whole industrial installation in a safe and reliable functional condition according to a predefined operational requirement. Building Smart's approach to achieve interoperability is via IDMs and the model view definition. To test interoperability within construction project management, I conducted tests based on two models. The models created in Revit are exported via IFC 2x3 and via their native MVD to Navisworks and Bexcel Manager. Navisworks was chosen because it's the most widely used software within Belgium according to the market research. Bexcel Manager was chosen because a comparative study of different 4D, 5D softwares showed that Bexcel Manager came out the best. It is also the only software on the market that can handle both line of balance, which is useful for project managers, and the earned value management, which is of particular interest of the CFOs. If we enrich the model in the software to subsequently export it back to IFC, we note that Navisworks is unable to export IFC. While Autodesk Navisworks cannot export 4D models into IFC format, Bexcel can deliver open interoperability. Bexcel is the only software on the market certified to export back to IFC 2x3. However, the model will become invalid when imported back into a model viewer such as Solibri, showing that interoperability is not necessarily achieved from vendors that defined Open BIM as their mantra. 5D BIM metadata, such as cost schedule information, is being categorized as an IFC property parameter instead of an IFC cost schedule parameter. This is due to the data filtering from the existing MVDs used by most software applications. As a result, MVDs served a significant part in the process of importing and exporting the data, are the decided factors in filtering of the data from the software application. Nowadays, interoperability is simply recognized by stakeholders as data integration and linking. To enable the full capacity of 4D and 5D BIM, there is a need for modifying the existing model view definitions with each software native model view definition. And attempting to make them open source would be a worthwhile economic advantage for the AECO industry at large. To maximize interoperability and simply enable the full capacity of OpenBIM, which is significantly higher than what is OpenBIM data format defines OpenBIM, the Open API specifications should be used for data exchange between different organizations. This will enable the connection of all applications capable of communicating with web services and overcome the conventional notion of interoperability as data integration and linking. My dissertation suggests a further line of research to update the existing MVDs with each software native MVD and make it as open source. Make it open source would help in collecting various thoughts of approaching the problem and solving them. To maximize business value of BIM in the construction management within the Belgium AECO industry, we need to focus on 4 parameters: investment, interoperability, improvement, and innovation. This dissertation shows a gap between the desirable business value and the current challenges and software limitations. I hope this presentation encourages you to assess the current construction process and inspire to maximize the business value of construction management within the Belgium AECO industry. We need to focus on 4 parameters: investment, interoperability, and improvement and innovation. My dissertation shows a gap between the desirable business value and the current challenges and software limitations. I hope this presentation encourages you to assess the current construction process and inspires you to redefine today's very traditional construction process. I would like to thank you for your attention, and I will be happy to answer your questions.